reading now. So you know, you're a nurse. Do you take pulses? Not anymore. Machine does it. Yeah, there's a dying art of manual medicine. That's for sure. One of my patients actually writes AI software for diagnostics. He said it's going to replace hospital doctors.
Oh, God.
All right, so before I even touch your pulse, okay, so in Western medicine, you already know, they measure rate, rhythm, contour, and amplitude in Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine. They're measuring a superficial layer and then a deep layer. I'll push down a little bit deeper. And each finger represents an organ and organ system. And in traditional Chinese medicine, a meridian as well. Now, the traditional Chinese medicine and the Ayurvedic medicine have slightly different organs for the points. And so the system's slightly, but actually 6 of them out of 12 are the same.
Okay.
But there's this other thing going on that they measure too. They measure constitution. So in Ayurvedic medicine, they call the 3 constitutions, the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. The Vata, Pitta, and Kapha are like, in exercise science, we call it the exomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph. Okay, these are the physical disposition. The exomorph, which is likened to the exoderm in embryology, is the people like me. We're just lean. It's difficult to gain weight, difficult to gain muscle. And then there's the endomorph. The endomorph is the opposite end of the scale, is the kapha. The kapha, it's very easy to gain weight, either muscle or fat. And then there is the mesomorph, which is likened to the pitta. And the pitta mesomorph is very muscular. Usually it's easy to gain or lose muscle. So there's these 3 things, these 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, okay? Your physical disposition, I already know, is Kapha, before I even take your pulse, because your pulse will tell me more about that. But you are primarily a Kapha, but you have some Pitta too, from what I can hear. But from your disposition physically, you are Kapha. And which is also very typical constitution for nurses. When you walk into a hospital, it's just a bunch of kaphas running around with a vata thrown in every now and then. These medicines are thousands of years old, and so they're basing their observations on different attributes than we would base them on. So like they're finding the same things. There's these 3 types of humans. Good posture adjustment. See, like by the time I get to this part of the exam, I'm tired. You know what I mean? So like it's
But now I feel better.
It's easier.
It's easier to sit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good reminder. Okay, so in the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, there's elements involved. So the Vata is made up of air and ether. The Pitta is made up of fire and water, and the Kapha is made up of earth and water.
I'm a Cancer.
Watery. I did not have you pinned as a Cancer.
Really?
But my first instinct was actually Scorpio, which is a water sign. And but I didn't, that was just I wasn't trying to guess your birthday at all. Sometimes it just comes out pretty naturally, but but I did pick up water sign earlier. I forget what it was, but all right. So anyway, the thing is that where we're trying to get with it. Okay, so everyone has all 3 of everyone has all of the energies, you know what I mean? But it's just we express one more primarily than another. And these aren't just physical dispositions, but these are also emotional dispositions and intellectual dispositions, even philosophical dispositions. And so these are the similarities, and people have been studying humans for thousands of years. It's like, you could really boil us all down just in a couple different categories.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I even touch your pulse, as a Kapha, there's already certain things that I know about your constitution. The way things move, typically a little bit slower from a Kapha. So like I was in your digestive system, there wasn't a whole lot of tenderness there. And so I didn't touch your pulse yet, so we'll get to that. So the Kapha, the reason why you see a bunch of nurses as Kaphas is because they're all very caretaking. They're all caretakers. They just want to take care of everybody all the time. They're the last people. They take care of themselves last. And so that's good that resonates. That means you are more Kapha, less Pitta. You know, because Pitta, they take care of themselves first, and but you
I've been
do.
taking care of myself this week.
That's good. You know, you do express some Pitta. Like a Pitta goes to the gym every day.
Yeah.
Very much so. So like if you took the test on the internet, right, or if you took the test that I have here, you know, we would count it up and would see how much of each one that you actually have. Okay, so now I'm gonna check your pulse. And oh yeah, so the one last thing was this thing that's coming up with the pelvis is actually something that showed up earlier with your with you had said something about like if I have kids one day. Oh yeah. I had said the name Noah with the NOE.
Yeah.
And you were like, you immediately were like, oh, I'll steal that if I have kids one day. And so
Yeah.
like that, the way that you said it, it changed the energy in the room. The sound of your voice, the vibration of it, it changed the room. And so it was just like this, just like went through. And, you know, I'm not trying to name things or guess things. I'm not a psychic, it's not what I do. But I do feel empathically a lot, as do you, and I can tell. And so most healers are empaths. Okay, so the pelvis thing, and as a kapha, kaphas will typically run slower digestion and reproductive cycle wise too. So I wouldn't even really have to touch your pulse to ask you the question: does your does your digestion run slow, or does it run fast?
Probably slow. I get like bloated if I eat like bad things. Like if I don't really eat a bad diet, but
When you
if
do.
when I do,
Okay.
But
So bloated is the accumulation of water. Okay, so that's kapha, right? That's earthiness and water, mud getting stuck and glunked up. That's good. Does it ever go the other way though? Do you ever have too fast digestion?
yeah.
Okay, so I don't know why, but just go ahead.
Probably more than not. Like I have slow when I eat bad, but like regularly, I have very fast digestion.
Yeah, so that's typical of your constitution. Then for the reproductive cycle, it's actually the same for a kapha. It would be a very heavy, very slow, hard back abdominal involved
So when I'm
menstrual cycle.
so when I'm not on birth control, I feel like I'm dying when I get my period.
Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go into the pulse. Now let's see what your pulse says. Okay, those are just constitutional awareness or constitutional analysis. Good. Good. We're both practicing our posture. So there's, so now I touch your pulse and it's a different story. I touch your pulse and the pitta comes out much more in your pulse. Like you do have a lot of fire right now. And so so that also would tell me about inflammation. You had sun poisoning last week?
Yeah, and I just ended my relationship.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Not
it
quite
makes
there
no
yet,
sense.
but I feel the fire. Okay. What this is telling me here. Okay. So this is on the superficial level. It goes like this: large intestine, stomach, and then the adrenal gland and thyroid. And so for you, the adrenal and thyroid are the most lacking in the superficial pulse. And so the adrenals lacking is usually like a tired fatigue kind of a thing. And you work hard and you kind of go through that cycle where you're just on for so long and then you're off for so long.
Yeah.
Do you drink a lot of coffee? Do you have to drink coffee to get through the day?
So I go through waves of like drinking coffee. Like I won't drink it for a month and then I'm like, let me go grab coffee today. And then I'll be on it for like a week and then it's weird.
Okay.
I don't need to drink coffee. I just do it like when I want a coffee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably a little bit too much for you, right? A little jittery.
Yeah.
Okay, the cycles of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, like the elements all cycle through. And so you could be feeling different phases of your cycle or different phases of bigger cycles, and then following through with looking for that boost.
Oh, yeah. That's funny because so I'm prescribed Adderall, but I don't really take it regularly unless I have to like study for something. So I'll go through cycles of like taking it and then I won't take it for
Okay.
months.
Okay, I'm gonna push down into the. Okay, so as far as the large intestine here feels okay, and then the stomach is the fire meridian, which feels like it works. Do you ever get reflux?
Yeah, when I work overnight, I have to take Tums.
Okay, so work overnight. Again, that's a disruption of a cycle. You know what I mean? A sleep cycle.
Yeah.
And then you're feeling it at the pitta pulse in the stomach. Do you get off at midnight?
7 p to 7 a.
All right. Okay. Okay, so far, but there's nothing here in the large intestine. It's really just the adrenal gland. And it could do you have any history of thyroid in your family?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Mom's good with that?
Yeah, no.
Okay, good. Okay, now I'm going to push down to the deeper layer. Yeah, the deeper layer is bumping here. Everything is checking out. So it goes like this. Lung feels good to me. Have you ever had any lung issues, asthma, allergies, serious respiratory disorders, illnesses?
No, I get like seasonal allergies, but not like.
Okay, and then the spleen here, also bumping, like really tuned up. So what is your immune system status like?
I don't know. I get sick like once, twice a year.
Yeah. No, that's not a lot. Good, and then all the way down on the deep layer for this finger is the reproductive cycle. The reproductive cycle here again feels light, and so what that tells me is that so you've already described your reproductive cycle. So now you said when I'm on birth control or when I'm not on birth control. That was your pulse, which suggests that you are taking birth control. And do you still get a reproductive? Do you still menstruate on the cycle?
Yeah.
Did you just finish the cycle?
I'm on it right now.
In the beginning, middle, or end?
The end.
Okay, so on the superficial side on the left, this is the feminine energy side. The superficial goes urinary bladder, gallbladder, small intestine. Yeah, so like your left side is not even close to the intensity as the right. Okay, but I'm okay with what the small intestine feels like here. And I'm okay with what the gallbladder feels like here as well. So no signs of gallstones, never had to be checked for gallstones or anything like that.
No.
Okay, urinary bladder, just like the thyroid and adrenal gland, is just coming up late. And this is Kapha, this is your constitution. So typically your constitution should be the strongest, but for your pulse it's not. It'd be interesting if you took a test and then we could see what your constitution is, because you might be pretty balanced, Pitta Kapha. Okay, so now I'm going to push down into the deep layer. There goes kidney, liver, heart. Okay, so with some of the medication that you've taken, have you had heart palpitations, racing of the heart?
Sometimes I get heart palpitation, not often though.
Okay.
When I overdo it with caffeine and Adderall.
Yeah, you're right on the edge. Now, in one of the systems of Ayurvedic medicine, there's not just a superficial layer, there's actually 7 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each layer goes a little bit deeper. Okay, let's just see what these say. Pretty typical. The old healer's pulse. Yeah. Let's see. So, when did you decide that you want to be a nurse?
After my dad died. But I feel like I've always, like, it's sad, but I think I've always, like, looked at it as, not a lesson, but, like, a lesson in itself. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Like,
learn
I
from
take
it.
thing from everything, yeah.
Okay, that's really beautiful. So, were there any other traumatic experiences that you can think of? Do you know the details of your birth?
Yeah. When I was born, I swallowed cecum and perfed a lung, and I was in the NICU with chest tubes. And I was the fattest baby in the NICU because I was a term.
So you almost didn't make it, huh?
Yeah.
I tell you what, that's so common for the healer. It's the wounded healer is an archetype.